So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me back on the Park Lake and we're in search of carp. So as you can see, the swim, bit of a mess. Got the rods out straight away when I arrived. You could see bubbling, as you can see on screen now in that corner. And out in front, I've seen bubbling as well. I always say when I come to a venue, never have any preconceived ideas. So we had a good walk at the start, just a look, but there was activity again in this area, so having had two fish, it was the logical place to set up. Just to be a bit quiet, got the bait boat out and put the bait out. It's a quiet way of getting the bait out there that's not going to disturb too much. It's a shallow venue, so the last thing I wanted was to be casting a lead and then firing bait over the top. I now know just to the left of where there was a bubbler, I've got a bait and it's amongst some particle. So no sooner had I finished that piece, just had a liner on the right hand rod. You can see there I've got the lines really slack. It's a shallow venue, you're talking 4 foot if you're lucky, and there are fish out there most definitely. You can see why I've put the rod out there, because that bubbling is continuing. And there's quite a bit of it happening. I was going to put a rod on the right hand side of this tree. That was my plan before I got to the venue, but it just shows that, you know, you've got to go with what you see. So what I'm going to do is just drop just a handful of particle just off this tree. I'm just going to watch to see if there's any activity. Not enough to distract from them spots out there, but just enough to let me know if they come in there, I'm definitely going to see bubbling. It is quite close in, but a lot of the movement that I'm seeing is close in, and it's the same depth there as it is out there. So just going to see if anything comes underneath this tree. If we see any bubbling down here, we'll know. Just a little bit of particle, not too much, because we might not fish it, but like I said on the last one, every trip you're hoping to put another piece of that jigsaw together. So it's becoming quite apparent on here that you've got to be able to react quickly to any signs that you see. You know, if you see fish bubbling, you know, dropping a bait near them quickly. And I mentioned it in the last vlog, and regulars to the channel know I don't mention things on the channel unless I really see them affecting my fishing. And the Carp fold all, I said on the last one, it's got all the compartments in and holds your rods. With the 10 foot XTNDs, it means today it was open the fold all, put a bait on, flick 2 rods out, a handful of particle, and you're fishing in seconds. And as you know, on the channel I do all forms of fishing. I do barbel, roach, dace, pole fishing. So being able just to pick up a hold all and a few bits and pieces, like, you know, this morning I picked up the bait boat and my chair and I was out the door. And on the last session we had lots of beeps but not converted into a bite. And you can see there, that bubbling is right on the spot, literally right on the spot. So that's something that I'm looking to improve on the venue, that conversion rate of chances into bites on that right hand rod. So we've been fishing about half an hour and it is exciting. We've got fizzing on the left hand rod and there's fizzing out there as well on the rod out in front. So like I say, the excitement of this venue is high. It's, you know when they're about. And one of the biggest things I learned last week was that is definitely fish, because after we had that second fish, you can see on screen now, there was no activity. It was flat calm, no bubbling, nothing. Which says to me, if it was the bottom, you'd be seeing it, you know, all day long. And yeah, we know it's Mr. Carp. We're not a blanker. These two, the net was in the edge, looked in it, 2 goldfish. Absolute madness. So absolute carnage. Got one in the net, and as I got it in, the other one screamed off, and we got a double hook up. They say they were on both spots and seen carp moving, so yeah, absolute carnage. I'm gonna take me time, just try and get them both in. What can I say? When a plan works, and it just shows it's not all about boilie. You know what I mean? Come on in that first session, didn't we, with the PVA bags and boilie, and I knew it was wrong. Been fishing about an hour and 2 carp in the net. Happy days. I'm gonna give them a rest, compose myself, put a bit of bait back on the spots, and yeah, give them a rest and we'll take a look at them. And just while been giving that fish a rest, we've had a visitor on that particle. Look at that, absolutely fizzing away. What a way to start the morning. If this had been the only carp of the day, I'd have been made up. To get a double take, proper buzzing. A lovely clean fish in immaculate condition, and yeah, in this shallow water this one did put up a fight, unlike the ones last week. A lovely fish. Let's get it straight back because there's another one in the net. So that's one of the fish vlogged and released, as you've just seen. There's activity just coming up now on the spots on the left hand spot, and then bubbles are from the one in front. You can see there, carp's just jumped. So what I've done, got the both rods back out, and yeah, we'll have a look at this second fish now because it is a beautiful one. But last time we were on here, you know, in the afternoon it completely died, so you've got to make the most of these windows of opportunity. There's definitely fish in the area and they're still feeding. But yeah, proper buzzing. There's no better feeling in angling than when you get a plan in your head that's got purpose to it and thought behind it, and it works. And at the start of this vlog I said I wanted to get a picture with that backdrop behind me, and this carp is well worth a picture with that backdrop. Absolutely stunning, proper made up with it. Let's get it straight back. Most definitely a celebratory brew time. Both fish back, and yeah, plan worked, didn't it? Good feeling, good feeling. Still plenty of activity. Took care to release the fish, you know, quite quietly. They were quite chilled, they didn't bomb off, they just swam off slowly as to not spook the swim, because you are fishing so close in. So that's the bubbles at the back of the carp that's just jumped, and you can see the bubbles in the foreground a bit. That is literally on the bait. Yeah, it's just so exciting of a place to fish. You just know when they're about. So one thing that has shocked me about this place, and lots of people said it to me when I said I was going to come and fish it, a lot of bream, and you know, fingers crossed we haven't encountered them so far. I'm sure we will, and we'll be plagued by them at times if there are big shoals of bream in here, but at the moment it seems to be working what we're doing. We'll have a look at the baiting approach and the bait we're using today, and I'll share a little tip on keeping your particle fresh. But yeah, motorway's building, the sun's up. We'll sit back and just chill out. So we're about an hour after them captures, and the intensity has slowed down. You see the odd bubble still coming up, so there is some fish in the area. The last thing I wanted to really see was the sun come up, because as you can see out there, with it being so shallow, it doesn't take much for them to come up in the water. Now the good part about that is it is quite shallow, so the top and the bottom isn't too far apart, so there's a good chance if they swim over your spot they'll see the bait. But yeah, I was really hoping it was going to stay overcast today, And when you're talking about, you know, plans for the sessions, normally I do overnighters and go work the next day. This I don't think will be the case. It's definitely alive in the morning. You know, if you think I've got to be at my desk for 8 o'clock, I'm gonna have to be leaving here at about 7:30, right on bite time. So it's gonna have to be one of them places, I think, where I'm gonna have to plan and have the next day off work, so you get the overnight and then you can at least do the morning. So a bit of an update, definitely t-shirt weather now, and got a nice wind pushing in, but that sun is definitely out. There's still a lot of activity in the area, especially around here. That coot's just been disturbed by one, and when the wind drops a little, there's one or two on top, so remain hopeful of a bite. But conditions wise, I just wish that sun would go in and it'd be overcast. So it's been a couple of days since the last session, and that is the same bait that we used on the last one. Now, as you can see on screen now, there's a good way of preserving your bait. If you fill it up with water and add some of the Himalayan salt to the water, it will preserve your particle, and it's a great little tip for keeping it when, you know, you can't freeze it and refreeze it if you're going out again. It'll keep that particle fresh, and like you've seen this morning, still good enough to get a bite. So taking a look at the rig, we've got some tungsten tubing. This one's in line and the other is a running rig with a clip. We've got one of the cordon sleeves just to aid separation. We've got a stiff boom. Behind that we've got a Dinsmore shot and some putty, and we've just got a simple hooking arrangement there with one of the size 6 cordon grapplers. That's how it'll sit on the lake bed, just off the bottom like that. So as you can see down there, there's plenty of leaf debris on the bottom of the lake. So what I've been doing, I've been putting one of these foam nuggets on each time. And as you can see on screen, what that means, it sits off the bottom. When that dissolves, it lets the rig go, and because it's stiff, it pushes it out. It's a few days later on now, and on that session I did give it until last light. You know, as dark come in, and a few carp did move into the area again as evening come in. It is a venue that is getting under my skin, as you can probably tell, and I'm loving being on the bank. 4 carp in 2 sessions, it's going really well, isn't it? And we are learning loads of lessons, one being that after 9 o'clock, when that sun gets on the water, the venue being shallow, then carp are coming up in the water. They're coming into the area, but they're definitely not feeding. So we can begin to target that early morning period, I think, on the sessions, or late evening, and maybe the odd overnighter. So there's plenty more adventures to come on this venue. I'll leave you with one last look at that beautiful midday. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It'd be great if you could leave it a like and subscribe. Tight lines in your own fishing, and I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.